Hello, welcome to Body Conscious Pilates. My name is Allison and I want to thank you for joining me for a post-operative recovery journey. I myself am one day out from both laparoscopic and hysteroscopic surgery. So we are going to do an entirely seated movement routine today that will help bring some breath into the lungs and expand the rib cage, mobilize our hips, and then get ourselves a little stretch through the torso without any forward flexion of the spine or any backward extension of the spine, because that either calls on the abdominals to contract or to stretch out, which they are not ready to do. But we still want to bring some movement into refreshing our bodies and getting us going after surgery. And so that will help us inflate our lungs. And if you're like me, I have a difficulty with post-operative urinary retention. That's happened to me now a couple of times after surgery. And this movement might help restart that whole contraction and relaxing process between the bladder and the urethra that you need to start going pee again naturally. So movement, I find, definitely helps bring that whole sympathetic parasympathetic cycle to the bladder back online. And so if you're having problem with that, this little sequence might help you try again after you're finished with it. So let's get started. Again, everything is going to be sitting in the chair today, no standing. We're going to start with some side-to-side flexion. Now I said we're not going to go forward or back, but we still want to give the vertebrae some movement, and we're going to do that with side-to-side action. So go ahead and sit at about the middle of your chair and drape your arms by your sides, fingertips pointing down. We're just going to pick one side to lean to, and then the hand of the other side is going to rub up the ribs. So I'll show you what that looks like now. I'm going to side bend, not too far. I'm going to keep it up in the thoracic area. And I'm going to drag the same hand as the ribs that are expanding up on those ribs. And as I go the other way, I'm going to bring my hand up on the ribs that are shining toward the ceiling. We're not going to flex all the way over into that lumbar region. We're going to keep it in the upper part of the trunk. So as we lean over, we draw a nice broad palm up the ribs. Now let's add some breathing. So I want you to inhale and exhale just sitting. Now as we lean over and trace that palm up the ribs, we're going to inhale. Exhale, both fingertips pointing at the floor. So now inhale, trace up the ribs. Exhale, both hands point at the floor. Inhale, trace up. Exhale, point hands down. And as you inhale, perhaps you feel those broadening ribs expanding a little bit, and get a nice sense of satisfaction of air filling that side of the lungs. One more time. So now we're going to work out the hips just a little bit and a little bit of knee extension also. So let's start with the knee extension. Go ahead and come forward on your chair a few more inches. Your feet are flat on the floor in front of you, and we're going to work on extending this knee and strengthening this quadricep. We're going to start by keeping the foot on the floor, and if you can't lift your foot off the floor, it can stay down there the whole time. I will show that variation. So we're going to push one flat foot out on the floor a little bit. Knee is still slightly bent. Now flex at the ankle. That means bring your toes towards your shin. And now lift that foot off the floor, extending at the knee. Bring that heel back down to the floor And then put your foot flat on the floor as you drag your foot back even with the other side. Now let's go to the other side. Push that flat foot out, knee still bent. Flex at the ankle, draw those toes toward the shin. Now extend at the knee, lift the heel off the floor, working out the quad. Bring that heel back down, flatten out the foot as you drag that foot level with the other one. Let's do that again, lifting the heel off the floor. Push your flat foot forward, knee still slightly bent, flex at the ankle, extend at the knee, coming off the floor. Bring that heel back down and drag a flat foot in. Other leg, flat foot glides out, slight bend in the knee, flex at the ankle, extend at the knee, lifting the heel off the floor, working out the quad. Put that heel back down, foot flat on the floor, drag it in level with the other one. Now let's show this without lifting the foot off of the floor. So you can push out with that foot on the floor, flex at the ankle, and now push the heel down and out on the floor, keeping it connected to the floor. Now bend the knee, drag that heel back towards you, put your foot flat on the floor, drag the rest of the way in. Push a flat foot out, knee still slightly bent, flex at the ankle, and now push that heel down into the floor and away from you until the knee straightens or gets as close to straight as you can manage. Now drag that heel back in, put the foot flat on the floor, drag it the rest of the way. You'll get a tiny bit of hamstring workout that way. So let's do that again, foot on the floor. Push a flat foot away, knee still slightly bent, flex at the ankle, push your heel down and away from you in contact with the floor. Bring that heel in, put that foot down, drag that flat foot back, a little bit of hamstrings. Push a flat foot away, knee still slightly bent, flex at the ankle, push that heel down and away until straight. Bend at the knee, drag the heel in, foot flat on the floor, drag it the rest of the way back. So that is our quad and just a little bit of hamstring workout. Now we're going to do some rotational exercises. I'm going to scoot back in my chair a couple of inches. I'm going to put my feet flat on the floor and my femurs are going to be slightly wider than my hips, just a little bit wider than the outside of my hips. We're going to be sweeping the inside of our arch toward the other leg. I'll show you what that looks like now. So I'm going to bring my big toe side and the arch of my foot up and toward my stance leg, my supporting leg. And now I'm going to sweep it back down. Let's try the other side. Bring the inside of that arch toward the other foot until it lifts off the floor. Now you're going to put the pinky toe side of your foot down and then you're going to place the sole of the foot back down and even. So let's try that again. Sweep the inner arch toward the other foot, lift off the floor. Place the outside of the foot down and then slide the sole of the foot back into place. Sweep the inner arch toward the other foot, lift off the floor, set it back down on the pinky side of the foot, sweep that back and out into place. Now if you cannot do the lifting off the floor part, let's see what that looks like. So you're going to sweep the inside of your arch toward the other foot and you're going to keep your pinky side of your foot down on the floor and then you're going to press your knee down and open. Lift that knee a little. You're not bringing the knee back into a more neutral position to slide the sole of the foot back level. So you're going to drag the inside of your arch toward the other foot. You're going to be on the pinky side, the outside of your foot now, and you're going to press that knee down and open. And then release that, and then sweep that foot back flat on the floor. Let's try that again. So sweep the inner arch toward the other foot. Pause, press the knee down and away. Outside of your foot is still on the floor. Release that knee and then slide the foot back flat on the floor. So now we're going to sweep, come to the pinky side of our foot, press our knee down and open. And now we're going to release that knee and slide the sole of the foot back flat on the floor. Now we're going to work on some internal rotation with a little bit of pigeon toe. So again, come a little further forward on the seat of your chair. Use your hands to help you wiggle there. We're going to pick one foot and we're going to turn it in. So you're going to point your toes at your other foot. Now we're going to push this pigeon toe flat out on the floor as far as we can go. We're not lifting on this one. If you can get it straight, fine. You might feel a little bit of activation way up here at the top of the hip when you do. And then drag it back in, still pigeon-toed. And now rotate the toes to pointing straight forward. Pigeon-toe your toes in. Now push the outside of that foot out along the floor until you straighten as much as you can. You might feel that activation at the top of the hip. Now you're going to bring your turned in foot back toward the other one before you turn the toes back forward. Let's do that again. Rotate the toes into a pigeon toe. Push the outside of the foot away from you into extension. If you feel this activation at the top of the hip, those are some of your internal rotation assisters, your TFL, and possibly your glute minimus. The glute minimus is a bit elusive, but perhaps. So let's do one more time. Rotate the toes in. Push that pinky toe side of the foot out along the floor to extension as much as possible, so a straight leg. And now drag the inside of that arch, still pigeon-toed, back toward the other foot before straightening it back out, toes facing forward. So those are our rotational exercises. Let's not forget the inner thigh. So this one's really simple. You're just going to squeeze your hands. We're not using any props today. I don't want you to try to carry or pick up anything or bring anything with you, but you still have your hands. So let's take those hands, clap them together, place them right between your knees, then walk your feet in to where they're nice and narrow, and then squeeze your hands. Activating the inner thighs, those adductors. And release your hands. So you can see that my femurs are straight out from my hips. I should have told you that earlier, to bring your femurs in right underneath the center of your hips. And so we're going to clap our hands together, place them between our knees, and use our knees to squeeze our hands and hold. I don't count, so just hold for a bit. And release those hands. Let's do two more times. Clap and place and bring the knees in and squeeze and hold. Inner thigh activation. This is the one that might be especially helpful in reconnecting that urination sequence. So clap the hands, place the hands, bring the knees in, squeeze the hands. Your hands are helping. Your inner thighs wake up. And release both of those. So we've now worked out a little bit of knee extension as well as internal and external rotation, and we got some inner thigh activation. Next, we're going to do some arm reaches to help bring a little mobility on the back of the body, but without any of that spinal extension. So we're going to be moving our shoulder blades and some in our rotator cuff. So here you're just going to be seated. You can be back on the bottom of your chair for this one. And we're going to start with just some forearm opening and some blade retraction. And I'll show you what that looks like. So you're going to go ahead and have your upper arms right against your ribs. You're going to bring your pinkies together in front of you, palms facing up. Now you're going to rotate those palms open, still the upper arms against your ribs, palms facing the ceiling. Now once you've opened, try to draw the shoulder blades together on the back of the body. Release those shoulder blades and then rotate your forearms and pinkies back to touching in front of you. I'll show you what that looks like in profile. So this is a good way to get some of those surface level movers, those superficial movers on the back of the body moving without that spinal extension. So here we're going to rotate open, palms up, but then drag the shoulder blades together on the back of the body. You shouldn't have to extend the spine to do this. You're going to release those shoulder blades and then rotate back in front of you. So let's do a few more of those with my facing forward. So you're reading your book, pinkies together, forearms flat out in front of you. Rotate open with your upper arm still against your ribs. Bring your shoulder blades together. This is shoulder blade retraction on the back of the body. Release and close up your book. Pinkies together. Rotate open. Upper arm still against your sides. Shoulder blades pinch together. Retraction. They release. You close up your book. Let's do one more. Rotate open. Shoulder blades pull together toward each other. Release those blades, and now swing your book closed. So now we're going to hug a tree, which will help us with shoulder blade protraction. So we're just going to let our arms hang at our sides. You can hug your tree high, or you can hug your tree low, and I'll show you what the difference looks like. So you're going to reach your fingertips to the floor, and then release them. We're just going to get a little tension in the arms and release it. Now that you have that release, let's bend the elbows just a little at the top of that release and get a bit of arc in the arms. Now we're going to swing that arc of arm up and around and hug our tree in front of us. This is where the shoulder blades protract. They come away from each other on the back of the body. Now we're going to open, release our tree, and lower our hands. So again, let's push those fingertips down, but then release them, get a little bit of bend in the elbow, then draw the arms up, hug around your tree, shoulder blades separate. We're not doing any spinal flexion here. We're just hugging our tree while our own trunk is upright. Open and come down. Now, when your arm is parallel to the ground, that's when there's most gravitational forces acting on it. If that's too much for you right now to stabilize that, hug your tree low. So let's do low hug a tree, or maybe hug a shrub. So reach your fingertips long toward the ground, release them, get slight bend in the elbow. Now go up and around and hug low. Bring this angle down to where you're hugging maybe in front of your navel. And open up and release. This will take a little bit of the load out of the hug. So you can hug lower. It'll still separate those shoulder blades, get some movement on the back of the body. Let's do one more of our little low hug a shrub. Now we're going to do one of my favorites, called Diver and Diamond, and yes, I did name that. I like this one because it allows the shoulders to drift up, to elevate, and for you to get a nice full stretch across the back of the body without extension. So I'll show you what it looks like. Your arms are going to be by your sides, but we're going to bend at the elbows, palms facing front. Now that your palms are front, open up your thumbs. Open thumbs, palms facing forward, elbows bent. Now take your bent elbows up and away from the sides until your thumb and forefinger meet overhead. Now you have a diamond at your elbows and a diamond between your thumb and forefinger over the crown of your head. Now we're going to fold up those thumbs and straighten the arms until we're pointing straight up overhead in that diver's pose before they go off the board. You're going to keep your face level and forward, no neck extension here. Then you're going to open those thumbs, reform your diamond, and hover your diamond right over the crown of your head, bending your elbows. Now you're going to part your diamond and bring your bent elbows and upper arms back to the sides of your body. So let's try that again. You bend at the elbows, palms forward, thumbs up. Take your bent elbows away from the body and meet your thumb and forefinger overhead. Now you're going to fold up the thumbs, point way high at the ceiling with your face still forward. Your scapulae will rise, your clavicles will fold upward. Then you're going to reform your diamond over your head by opening your thumb bending at the elbows. You might feel your shoulder blades press against the back of the body. And then you're going to part your diamond and bring your bent elbows back to the body. Let's try 2 more of those faster. So bend the elbows, lift the thumbs. Bring the thumb and forefinger together. Fold up the thumb, point high at the ceiling. Face forward, level. Bring thumb and forefinger together. Separate them. Elbows down, arms down. 1 more. Bend at the elbow, thumbs up. Bring thumb and forefinger together. Point up high. Elevate the shoulders. Reform your diamond over your head. Part your diamond and bring your elbows down by your sides. We're almost finished. We're going to conclude with some nerve stretching and neck stretching. Now, you're not going to pull on your neck, but after being in surgery, being in recovery, being propped up on pillows, being raised and lowered in a bed, your neck is probably a bit kinked out by now. So let's start with a nerve stretch. You're going to take one arm and you're going to hold it straight out from your shoulder, rotate the palm up, thumb open. This open thumb is important. Now you're going to lean your ear away from your long arm. And as you reach away from your head, you might feel a stretch all the way down your arm. Bring your head back level and bring your hand back to the top of your thigh. Other arm, reach it out, rotate it up, open the thumb. Lean your ear away from your long arm, but try to keep your long arm level and steady. Feeling a stretch from the side of your neck way up here by the jaw all the way down, possibly to that thumb. Come back level, put your hand back on top of your thigh. Let's do 1 more each way. Arm out, parallel to the ground. Palm rotates up, thumb opens. Lean your ear away. Don't put any angle in the head. You're just leaning the ear in the same plane away from the long arm. And replace that hand. Palm up, thumb open, lean away. Do not angle away, not down and not back. Lean away in the same plane as that arm. Return the head to level and return the arm to the thigh. Now we're going to do a little bit of a neck stretch. Again, you're not going to pull down on the head, but I do think that it is a satisfying feeling to have that stretch through the neck. And we're going to start out looking down, and then we're going to progress to looking up, and we're going to use our elbow as a guide. So let me show you how that's going to look. So you're going to look down first at about your hip, your opposite hip. Now you're going to take the arm that's what you're looking toward, and you're going to bring it up and over the back of the head to where the fingertips rest on the occipital ridge. So you're looking down on an angle towards your hip crease, and you're not pulling down, but the weight of your hand is on the back of your head. Now you're going to lift the eyes and lift the elbow together until you're looking at where the ceiling and the wall meet, and your elbow is aimed toward the ceiling. Now you're going to bring the head back level before releasing and returning the hand to the thigh. So let's try that again the other way. We're going to look down and toward our opposite hip. Then we're going to take that hand up and over, the hand that we're looking toward, up and over, and rest the fingers on the back of the skull. Now we're going to look down at the hip, and then we're going to gracefully trace with our elbow and face up toward where the ceiling and the wall meet. You might get a little stretch in the ribs and in the back of the arm. Now bring yourself back level and then release the head. Let's do 1 more each way. So look down at your opposite hip crease. Take that arm that you're looking toward, take it up and over the back of the skull. You're going to look down at that hip crease. And then you're going to let both the elbow and the eyes trace up together to look at where the ceiling and wall meet. Come back level and release the back of the head. Look down and away, opposite hip. Take that same arm that you're looking toward up and over. Rest the fingers on the back of the skull. Look down at the hip crease. Now trace up with that elbow and the face following along until you look at where the ceiling and the wall meet. Bring head level and release hand to thighs. Now we're just going to finish with a little neck articulation and rotation. So we're going to start with good old chin pushes, which are good on any day, but especially good when your head's been thrust by pillows or by medical beds into a certain position. We're going to start with the chin push. This means the chin goes straight back and you feel like the middle of your ears are being pulled back. I'll show you straight on first. It's hard to talk while I do it. When you release, the forward weight of your head will release the movement. You don't have to thrust your face forward. So again, you're pushing your chin straight back. If you want a little feedback, touch feedback for that, you can put your fingers on your chin and give it a push straight back. And release. I'll show you it in profile. So it's as if the middle of my ear cartilage is being pulled straight back. My face remains level while I do it. I'm not extending up or flexing down. Straight back. Now this is a good starting movement for if you want to add neck extension. So we're not able to do much spinal through either the thoracic or the lumbar, but you can at least give that cervical section some extension. So let's try it now, starting with the chin push. So push the chin back, then look up, return the chin to where it came from, and release forward. So chin back, look up, extend up, bring the chin down, still pulled back, and release the face forward. Do not add extension in the thoracic vertebrae, the part that's around the back of the ribs. We're not going that far. So chin back, look up, bring the face back level, chin pulled back, and release. Let's do one more. And release. And then the last thing we're going to do is just some neck rotation. Nice, big, slow no. So you're going to look to one side, rotate all to one side on the same level. Now, don't let this far shoulder come with you. It needs to stay home. And release back forward. Now look the other way. And again, this opposite shoulder, the one that you're looking away from, you got to keep it where it was. And release back to center. Let's do it again. Rotate. If you need to, reinforce that shoulder, that opposite shoulder to stay back. Release to center. Fix this shoulder that you're going to look away from. And come back to center. And that is our chair workout for getting some post-operative movement. I did this sequence one day after, so it is the following day for me. And this will help you bring in some breath, hopefully move some urine out, and also feel like you've gotten some movement into a day of recovery when you might have been tempted to just stay curled up in bed. It was good to get moving. So thank you for joining me at Body Conscious Pilates on my own road to recovery, and I wish you well on yours.